Okay, now that we've found our seats, let's stand for the pledge.
Harold, right, other side. Harold.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, introductions. Let's start with the person I don't know, all the way at the end of the table there.
Chloe Berryman, Assistant Village Attorney, Village of Indiantown.
Carmine DiPaolo, Indiantown Council Member.
Good morning. Mayor Susan Gibbs Thomas, Village of Indiantown, Council Member and Mayor.
Sharon Krista, Village Manager, Village of Indiantown.
Ely Selder, Deputy County Attorney for Martin County.
Doug Smith, Martin County Commissioner.
Stacy Hetherington, District 2 County Commissioner.
Harold Jenkins, District 3 County Commissioner.
Ed Campy, District 5 County Commissioner.
Sarah Hurd, District 4.
Don Donaldson, County Administrator.
Mike Mortel, Stewart City Manager.
Troy McDonald, Stewart City Commissioner.
Becky Bruner, Mayor of the City of Stewart.
Campbell Rich, Vice Mayor, City of Stewart.
Eula Clark, Stewart Commissioner, Group 5.
Lee Baggett, Stewart City Attorney.
Michael D. Terlizzi, School Board Member.
Amy Pritchett, School Board Member.
Jennifer Russell, School Board Member.
Shirley Roberts, School Board.
Tony George, School Board Attorney.
All right, with that, next on our agenda is public comment, and I do not have any public comment cards, so don't know how that works, but is any public comment?
That's a first.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Harold's running the meeting.
Yeah,
He runs the
that's
top
right.
meeting.
Yeah, it's all me. Anyway, first up is County Public Works Projects.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Keith Baker. I'm the Capital Projects Administrator. Start with our neighborhood restoration projects. In Phase 1, the drainage improvements portion, we have Beau Rivage, which is wrapped up and complete. Coral Gardens is approximately 70% complete. Cove Ridge, we have at 90%. We just have to do the punch list. Should be wrapped up. Port Salerno Peninsula, construction will begin summer of 2024. And Rocky Point, we're at 60% design, and the utility plans are at 50%. For Phase 2, the Gomez project is complete with the resurfacing. It looks good. Golden Gate is under construction right now. That one has over 10 miles of resurfacing, and we're reconstructing Golden Gate Avenue. Hibiscus Park will be going out to bid February of '24. Leilani Heights paving is scheduled for the summer of '24, and Hobe Hills is scheduled for mid-'24. On roadway and sidewalk construction, Cove Road is approximately 60% complete. Indian Street is expected to begin this month. Traffic will be maintained throughout construction. The project will add one additional through lane, which will add some intersection capacity. County Road 714 resurfacing is also expected to begin this month. Jensen Beach Boulevard resurfacing will be going out to bid this month. Waterside Way, which is the roadway associated with the new county operations complex, construction is expected to begin also this month. MacArthur Boulevard reconstruction, construction April 24. Salerno Road sidewalks about 90% complete. And Southeast Avalon Drive sidewalk will be going out to bid March 24. Moving on to bridges, the Dixie East Fork Creek Bridge. Construction will begin any day. There'll be a temporary road constructed as part of this project, so there will be no road closures to Dixie Highway. And for County Line Road Bridge in the southern part of the county, just want to let everyone know we had a $3 million state of Florida legislative appropriation for that project. Construction is expected to begin late summer of this year. The detour, the bridge will be closed. The detour for the bridge closure will be via Southeast Country Club Drive, and we're coordinating with fire rescue and EMS prior to doing the bridge closure. Any question on the capital projects portion?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Jensen Beach resurfacing that you're going out to bid in this month, February, when will you be actually doing the construction and messing up that road?
I would say it'd be more late, like, let me think, if we're gonna bid, I'd say summer, say like, for 3 months from the bid is when you can expect.
And then how long will it be?
That project, I would estimate, I don't think it's been assigned to calendar days yet, but I would say 150 or about approximately 150 days of construction,
About 5 months then?
probably.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Just a comment that if we do it right, it won't land in season.
Correct.
That's correct. If it's done right, it won't land in season.
That's what we're shooting for. Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Mayo.
Good morning. My name is John Mayle, and I am your Environmental Resource Administrator. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on some of your Environmental Resource Division activities. There's a list that's fairly comprehensive on the slides, but I'm going to go off script and just provide kind of a brief highlight of a couple of projects that were recently completed, a couple that are starting soon, and a couple that are in progress. So the first one I wanted to highlight, which is kind of a hard one to miss, if you drive up US 1 from Hope Sound on the east side, there was a fairly substantial disturbance of some county property a year and a half ago, and that turned into East Fork Creek Phase 1, which is a large man-made wetland that will treat nutrients and turbidity in one of the major tributaries to the Manatee Pocket. That's recently completed. It appears to be functioning very well. We're making some minor tweaks to it to make sure it continues to perform well. And then later this summer, we'll be starting on Phase 2 of that, which is a couple more cells that will help attenuate flows, drop out some phosphorus and turbidity, and then polish some nitrogen removal on another man-made wetland. Another project that we recently completed that you would not see unless you really got off the beaten path a little bit is the Culpeper Berm extension, which helps to protect a neighboring community, Ranch Colony, from some restoration hydrologic improvements to the neighboring Culpeper wetland. That was a completion of about a 12-year effort to finish up that protective element so that we could manage the water levels appropriately for the right hydro period and wetland restoration in that effort, and we're seeing great results already. A couple of projects that were recently started. One that's very popular in the community is the Bathtub Beach Renourishment effort. Wednesday, 2 days ago, the dredge arrived and started pumping sand onto the beach, and that's in full swing now. We expect that to be largely complete by the end of April. However, it'll remain closed while two follow-on projects use that area for traffic management and staging. But by the end of the year, that should be in great shape and available for the public again. Another project that you probably don't know about as much is we relocated the entrance to Hawks Hammock Preserve, which is a 400-acre, it's a pine flatwood mosaic with wetlands. It's beautiful. There's some great hiking trails. That property used to be accessed on the west end of Markle Street. And due to some property ownership challenges, we ended up relocating the entrance to Green Farms Lane, which is just to the I want to say south of the interstate. That sounds weird, but it's the section of the interstate that goes from east to west. It's right adjacent to that. It's a beautiful area. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to go check it out. But that access improvement just started. It'll include a pavilion, parking. It'll be adequate parking for horse trailers to turn around because it is a popular equestrian spot, and some trail improvements. A couple projects that are coming up soon. Manatee Pocket, Southwest Prong is a mouthful. That will treat, it'll be the kind of creation of another man-made wetland. It'll be some flow attenuation, and we'll be employing a upflow filter box. It's kind of an advanced nutrient removal piece of infrastructure that efficiently removes nutrients in a small space. That project is going to construction, probably we'll start this summer. We've already started some of the exotic removal to get the clearing done. That will provide some kind of the last nutrient removal and water treatment to the Manatee Pocket, to the last tributary to get treatment in the Manatee Pocket. Another project is inlet dredging. Starting this summer, the Corps of Engineers will be kicking off a canal maintenance inlet dredging project that will remove 300,000 yards, and it'll go out to a borrow pit offshore. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention some activities the county's been progressing on for lagoon restoration. We've kind of decided to take on a very broad and shallow approach to doing some seagrass restoration in the lagoon, really primarily as a means of learning. There's not a lot of experience with that, not a lot of tried and true proven science with seagrass restoration, and anticipating that with all the momentum on some of the basin projects or the watershed projects, we may be looking at a future where we have some water quality improvements that would enable us to do active seagrass restoration. And so we're using these next few years to really learn as much as we can. We're doing a project where we did some soil borings to see what kind of remnant seed is in that soil, what the soil conditions are, how conducive they are to seagrass meadows. We discovered that there's a small clam, they call it a leucinid clam, that has a symbiotic bacteria that digests sulfur in the soil that makes it hard for roots to establish. And so we through some grant funding, we started a leucinid clam nursery, probably the first of its kind, with the intention of deploying some of these clams with our seagrass restoration efforts. We've also done some test plots where we removed this Lyngbia, which is like a stringy filamentous algae that we believe is prohibiting the restoration of seagrass meadows. So we're doing some experiments where we remove some of that regularly during the growing season and see how that responds in comparison to the areas where we don't. And then we're also just kind of doing some blunt force planting. We're going to plant 20 acres of seagrass in 4 different areas and learn as much as we can in the monitoring of that. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions. That was just a kind of a highlight of what we're doing.
Mr. Smith.
Good morning, Harold. Do you want to share a little bit about our tour the other day out at Carlton Ranch?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Commissioner Smith and I joined Rick Hartman on a tour of Allapattah and of Bull Hammock Ranch. And the intention of that was to kind of draw attention to the differing management practices between something that's purely functioning as an active cow-calf ranch versus property that's owned and managed by the state for the purpose of wetland restoration or natural area storage and treatment with a ranching element to the extent that it helps to manage the exotics and to keep the right ecotype. There is a place for ranching on preserved land, and if it's done appropriately, it can be a helpful tool. It was super helpful. I think we all learned a lot on that trip. But if you ever have the opportunity, that is a beautiful ranch and a rich heritage of great management of that property. One of the things we've talked about is the role that conservation easements can play in meeting our preservation objectives. And it certainly seems like there's been some success with that, and there may be a place for that in the future.
Yeah, just a little follow-on. I had never been to that ranch before. It's 8,000 acres, right? Something like that. They run about, or they produce about 10,000 head of cattle a year that come out of Florida, and it's one of the largest cattle ranches in the state. It was spectacular. I mean, it just really was an amazing piece of our county that hardly anybody ever gets to see. And even when you drive by its entranceway, there's a house, there's a ranch building of sorts, but you would never know what's behind it, which is just interesting about our agricultural world when people talk about what we are or what we aren't relative to agriculture and how we do it. Rick gave a great tour. He's certainly known throughout the state, for being in that business. And it was also interesting to see the difference between Allapattah and the Carlin Ranch in terms of how it's being managed and the pros and cons. And there are certainly various issues that are associated with all of it. But hopefully the district is preparing for a burn out on Allapattah. They're out there actually tilling sapphire breaks. And looking over at Michael, I was sharing the story when we bought Allapattah. Michael was on the board back then, the commission, and I think he was the one who received the call that did we or were we interested in acquiring Allapattah? And Mike gets all the credit for putting that whole thing together. So anyway, a lot of history going on out there, but really neat stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Who? Oh, him. Yeah, that guy. Anyway, any other questions for, I'm sorry,
Okay. Hi, I'm just listening to you, and I'm thinking that hopefully that we're on the cusp of little by little, bit by bit, from the great big waters from Kissimmee down to Florida Bay, if maybe our little experiment in dealing with what we have could be something that could be transferred at some point to all of those massive wetland areas and the major algae issues that we have. So I would commend the county for the work that you're doing. And I don't know all the science and biology that goes into it, but it seems like you have some intention of trying to make some headway, so that's good.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Amy.
Could you elaborate a little bit on Bathtub Beach? It's a topic of conversation always, and that perhaps the county is throwing money away for something that will not be able to be used. Could you soothe people and tell them that Bathtub Beach will be restored at some point and that we're not wasting our money? And that's not coming from me. I just would like it to be addressed.
I actually appreciate that question and bringing that up. There's something that on this issue, I know it's near and dear to large parts of the community, and that's a precious resource. And we also get a lot of feedback that, why do we keep putting more and more resources into it, and is it worth it? One thing that's happened this year that we got a great front row seat to was the success of this new smart wall. That's what I'm calling it. An engineer might call it something different. Don's probably recoiling over there at that reference. But there was a wall put in, a retaining wall, that would preserve the parking area and everything to the west. And it is really kind of an interestingly engineered wall. I'd done one of these in Long Key years ago that was a little bit less fancy. And what we were able to observe this winter was some really strong wave action. Testing that was how effective that was at preserving that the parking lot and everything to the west of it. And what that allows us to do is to mitigate the impacts. So yeah, there's going to be storm activity that continues to cause erosion on that beach, but it's only going to go so far and it'll stop. So we know what the restoration, the maximum that restoration could be in future renourishments, and it won't be near as much as it used to be. It also allows us not to have to be out there during a storm, dumping sand, watching it wash right down to preserve the road. And so that's a big success. I think that's a huge step forward, and we're going to reap the benefits of that for years and years. So to me, it's not the time to quit. It's just the time to enjoy the investment we have made.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
And Amy, I would add on to that as well. There has been a lot of discussion, whether it was a good idea, a bad idea, and so on. Historically, for decades, bathtub has eroded at massive amounts. Kathy Fitzpatrick, our coastal engineer from the past, did a presentation years ago on historically back into the 70s, where we had records of how far that erosion went, way past where the road is today. And unfortunately, a lot of folks who comment on what's going on at bathtub currently don't know the history of what bathtub has gone through for 100 years, plus or minus, or thousands of years. It is an incredibly dynamic beach. For those who go out there, there are times where we will lose 75 feet of sand, and within 3 days it'll accrete right back in and fill back in, having nothing to do with us doing anything. It is just that dynamic of a system out there. And as John, pointed out, the cost and the process by which we try to protect that infrastructure and protect that beach, and the investments of that part of our county are enormous. And so this was a project that really was more forward-thinking than backward-thinking. And to the point of how difficult it is to permit a project like that with the reef that we have immediately off of bathtub, hence the name of the beach. We have been very successful through decades of rebuilding that beach because our staff and because the people we contract with are experts in that field. And you have some of the very best people in the world working with us to understand how we do that renourishment when we do it, so we don't mess up the reef, and we haven't messed up the reef. And we successfully, between us and Sailfish now, we have a joint agreement. We work with them on their renourishment, put the infrastructure back and put the beach back. So the wall is doing exactly what I think it was designed to do. It may not look like it from an observer that says, oh my God, the beach is all gone and so on. Well, it does it almost every winter. The other thing I would just say as a cost analysis, the state of Florida, for every dollar we invest in beach renourishment, returns about $7 to $8 to the dollar to the state in tourism and people that go to the beach and spend money around our beaches. So there are people who don't think we should spend money on beach renourishment. That's fine. And I would also add on there, when we had our turtle update about a month ago or so, we've had record number of turtle nests and hatchings. And all of those issues are intertwined with the fact that we have renourished our beaches, we have renourished our dunes, and our profiles out there are probably better than they have been in 50 years. And somehow the turtles know that. So all is good.
Just thought it was a good idea to bring it up.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for John? Seeing none, Mr. Luke Lambert is going to give us a traffic projects update.
Good morning, Luke Lambert, Traffic Engineering Administrator. So dovetailing off of what Keith is doing out there on Southeast Indian Street, you will see the signal contractor out there next week. They're going to start on their drill shaft work to do that. We need to rehab those mast arms to accommodate the dual left turn lanes that are being constructed on Southeast Indian Street. Salerno Road and Kenner Highway is another intersection improvement project that's upcoming. Constitution and Federal, we just spoke with FDOT for permitting. We expect that to be cleared and through next week. And we just need to allocate some funding to get that construction scheduled. High Meadow Avenue at Sunset Trail, we have finalized our roundabout design for that intersection. And the thing that I'm most excited about here is some of our connected infrastructure expansion. So we're all aware of fire rescue's preemption for our traffic signals. We're up to 62 intersections in Martin County. And we have recently connected our school beacons. So everywhere there's a school zone in Martin County, we are able to remotely activate them and deactivate them. So we take that away from the crossing guards, so that's not a duty they need to do. We don't want them touching electrical components anymore. But the cool thing is that there is an application through that hardware and software vendor called Glance Travel Safely. The same system is what's in the fire rescue preemption. It will tell you the phasing, the green and red light phasing of the intersections that have preemption, and as well, if you're traveling and you're speeding through a school zone, it'll give you a little alert on your app. So the applications, you know, it's pretty small. Like, I don't expect everyone to go download it, but the cool thing is they have an integration with Waze. So we know there are hundreds of millions of people using the Waze application, so we hope to see that come through on Waze, so when people are using it in your hometown, they could get the same alerts. So that's it for traffic.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah.
Harold's
Luke, what improvements are being contemplated to ease the traffic congestion at the entrance to the Treasure Coast Classical Academy? People who stack up there every morning are justifiably crazy about that. It's intolerable. So what is being planned to alleviate that?
So the school itself had plans for an expansion, but those have gone away. They were going to be extending the eastbound right turn lane in, where we would hope to get some of those cars off of the shoulder, get them out of the travel lane for safety. That has gone away, I think. So the future project is the 4-laning of Southeast Cove Road from Kenner Highway to US 1. So that project is almost done with the PD&E, Project Development and Environmental Study. We're looking at, you know, intersection evaluations, you know, what's going to happen at Alt Avenue, at Willoughby, you know, some of the other small side streets. And that process has funding for design in the FDOT work program, but construction is not yet funded. So we're looking at, I think, 27 or 28 to see that construction.
The 4-laning of Cove Road?
Yes.
I don't think it's 27 or 28. I think it's more like 30. So we're not going to see any relief until maybe 2030, because it's not funded.
Commissioner Smith.
Two things. A little shout out to Lisa Wixer for her idea and how we could connect Constitution to the road that was the maintenance road, which became a new entranceway on the west side of US 1, which gave us the ability to MacArthur, in their construction project, but it also gave us the ability with FDOT to get it warranted to have that traffic light there, which the residents came to us years ago and begged us to do something about. So to Lisa, thank you for all of the work she put into getting that done. The other thing, to our school board members, there is apparently, not only with the WAVE stuff that Luke is talking about, but there's some new language, and I don't know if there's going to be legislation this year going through, but there is school zone camera language that some consultants are talking to us at FAC about, that have contacted me and asked us if we have any interest in putting those systems in our school zones. They're sort of like red light, speeding, all that kind of stuff. And my response to them was, first and foremost, reach out to the sheriff and see what the sheriff's opinion of both the systems and the ability to monitor it, enforce it, and whatever. But ultimately, it's something, if you guys are interested, apparently they're working on it. And so apparently, since the red light camera stuff from 10 years ago kind of didn't work so well, that technology has dramatically increased in the last 10 years, and it might be something we all might want to work together on. I mentioned it our last commission meeting to Ed, because Ed's got some zones out in Palm City that are historically troublesome with people going through zones way too fast, and it's all something you all want to do. We're more than willing to work with you all on it.
Okay, Ms. Roberts.
When you made the comment when we were talking about Treasure Coast Classical that it went away, you didn't mean that the traffic went away, right?
Correct.
You meant...
Their plans to extend their right turn lane to accommodate their own trips has gone away. So there are some other projects that would build right turn lanes on Cove Road, but none that would extend theirs.
So that the buildup of traffic that's on Cove Road now, even without them expanding anything, is the buildup we can expect until years from now something happens?
So the trips going to Treasure Coast Classical, we don't expect them to get less unless they start busing students in. So really, the capacity during that peak period in the AM is the eastbound they take up a lot of that eastbound right turn lane, and they back up into the through lane. That's really the point of congestion there. So westbound in the morning, I feel like works pretty well. So we're constantly monitoring all of these roadways, and especially Treasure Coast Classical. Cove Road's been on our radar for a while. So there aren't any planned improvements at this time that would shift that traffic out of the through lane to allow, free flow traffic.
Okay, and I don't mean to belabor this, but when you say you monitor it, that means you note that it's backed up and you can't go through?
So we have CCTV cameras that help us monitor traffic operations and traffic flows. We get data from Google, Waze, here, everyone's smartphones. There are sensor probe data that we have throughout. So we have all this on basically every arterial in Martin County. So Cove Road, we've gone out and done site visits. We've done our own studies. So it's a point where we're constantly monitoring that roadway.
Okay, and I don't mean to belabor this, but when you're monitoring it, there's nothing that can happen to fix it until the funding comes through to four-lane the road. So monitoring it is just noting that it's clogged up and nobody's moving. Is that what?
So on typical arterial roadways, we can adjust traffic signal timing to help with flows, and you want to move peak movements through. At this particular intersection, when the school crossing guards is hitting the pedestrian signal to cause a red light to allow the students to cross the road, we can do nothing to help that. Like, that is the point of congestion, which occurs at every school traffic signal in the county. So once that peak movement, and in this case, pedestrian crossings, goes away, traffic can kind of get back going to where it's coordinated between the two signals. So the next closest one's at Atlantic Ridge. That's really the bottleneck at this point in time. And then, as you know, David Anderson Middle School starts, they have jogged their school start time to not coincide with the same, but you just have that prolonged period of pedestrian movements across the roadway.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other questions, so we'll move on to City of Stewart, Utilities and Engineering Department, Peter Cunin.
But it is intolerable. And it's both ways. It's not eastbound, it's westbound.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Cunin with the City of Stewart, Director of Utilities and Engineering. I hope all of you are doing well this morning. I have a few updates for you on the City of Stewart projects.
I know.
On our ongoing pavement maintenance project, we have a continuation of a point repair and overlay project located in Zone 1, which is located north of the Roosevelt Bridge. The project will be under construction during the course of the next few months and into the summer. We're looking at completion to be of this year's project to be done by late summer of this year, 2024. We have a few stormwater projects that are currently under construction. The first one is the Northwest Dixie Highway Ditch Improvement Project. That involves modifications to an existing outfall structure on Australian Street and other drainage improvements to help alleviate flooding issues located in our Riverside Park neighborhood. The project is scheduled to be completed in March, late March of this year. The next stormwater improvement project is the Southeast Illinois Avenue Living Shoreline Project. That too is under construction. It involves the installation of a living shoreline to help with natural nutrient removal of stormwater discharges into the St. Lucie River. The project is anticipated to be completed in March of 2024 as well. The next project is the Southeast Mango Place Drainage Improvement Project. That involves the installation of stormwater baffle boxes, and a tidal check valve to alleviate flooding issues on Southeast Mango Place. And it's currently under construction. This project as well is scheduled to be completed in March of 2024. On to utility projects. We have a water main extension project that is currently in construction. It's at about the 90% level of it's in design. It's at the 90% level of design. And it's the extension of a 12-inch water main on Southwest Flagler Avenue to provide additional flow capacity in this section of the north of St. Lucie Avenue. The schedule for construction is to be this summer. We're looking at the project being a 6-week project taking place with directional boring method of construction. And construction completion, it's anticipated to be by midsummer, July, August of this year. Another water main project is the Northwest Poinciana Street Water Main Improvement Project. This project is in construction. It involves the extension or addition of a 6-inch water main on Poinciana Street. And we have that currently construction to be completed in March of this year. And with facilities projects, the reverse osmosis facility project, the water treatment plant project, is under construction as well. We're looking at the anticipated substantial completion of the project in March of this year. With that, there were modifications to an existing deep injection well that in a concentrate pipeline project, all tied together with this RO project. And we have, we're looking at getting the treatment facility operational in April of this year. We still have testing to do, but we're confident that it'll be up and running by April of this year. And with that, I'm open for any questions that any of you may have for me this morning.
Ms. Roberts.
The US 1, south of the Roosevelt Bridge, I'm getting a lot of questions and hearing from a lot of people because that traffic backs up all the way south past Wawa's and way back into that area. Has anything been done to those traffic lights well, first of all, the big question was, why are they doing this in the middle of season? But we won't go there because it's in the middle of being done, so there's nothing that can be done about that. But has anybody looked at those traffic lights? Because those traffic lights don't appear to be timed correctly. They change to allow cars to turn left or right on US 1, and there's no cars that are turning. I mean, it just kind of sits there, and everybody sits.
I have the gentleman to my left that is going to respond to that question. That the US 1 is a DOT right-of-way, and with the traffic signalization, that's within their purview.
And so is DOT the reason that we're doing the construction during season?
Yeah.
Or was that whose idea was that?
So the Florida Department of Transportation maintains US 1, State Road 5. They maintain South Canner Highway, State Road 76, State Road 714, Martin Downs, Monterey Road. So they have a draft tentative work program that turns into a work program that funds all these major construction projects. So the timing of it really depends on the work program, which is the funding cycle from July 1st to June 30th of each year. So they're constantly, moving money around to construct these projects. And our area is competing throughout the state. We're competing in District 4, which is Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County for all these pots of funds. So the timing of their construction projects, we don't really have much control over. We work with them. So Martin County maintains all the traffic signals. And on the US 1 corridor, we have an adaptive traffic control system. So what it essentially does is, if it sees a heavy movement in one area, it can ramp up and add more time to those movements. So that always comes at a cost. You're taking away from another movement. But the system does it, it's supposed to do it smartly so that an individual doesn't have to watch each traffic signal. We just don't have the personnel to watch every traffic signal. So the intersection of US 1 and State Road 76 does have a funded construction project to do northbound triple left turn lanes from Kaner Highway onto US 1. And right now, it is unfortunate for US 1, they have their construction project, they're doing like a major drainage improvement at the intersection of Ocean Boulevard. So we're down the 2 lanes. If you notice, they've milled out the bullnose there, so there's no more left turns at Indian Street. So our traffic signal is actually operating in like steady green for northbound and southbound US 1.
Just at that one intersection where they blocked the intersection, not back at Palm City Road.
Correct. But essentially that's a huge bottleneck when you have a 6-lane facility going down the 2 lanes. We see in excess of 60,000, 65,000 cars a day going over the big Roosevelt Bridge. So funneling all that through, there's a lot of turning movements at Joan Jefferson that we are trying to accommodate. It's just a very congested area, not a good time. And they wanted to do this drainage improvement during December, like before Christmas, so we could push that, but we're stuck with it right now. We're hoping they move through as quickly as possible to get those lanes back open.
So can somebody look at that light in front of the storage place at Palm City Road? Because it's really irritating to sit there on US 1 and watch that light go through the cycle with one car going through.
So they're turning off onto US 1?
Yes.
And that's the balance of traffic signalization. We're balancing the needs of a majority of people here, but we still need to service the side streets.
The one person who needs to turn.
Yes.
But after that, what I'm saying is after that one person turns, we're watching the invisible cars go because there is nobody else. So it seems that it's staying on green for them for a really long time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? With that, we'll move on to the Village of Indiantown. Mr. Patrick Nolan, Utilities and Public Works Director. Oh, I'm following the agenda.
Good morning.
Morning.
First are some of our public works projects. We've got the Uptown Roadway and Drainage Repair Project. That's in the design phase. We've got the Seminole Drive and Magnolia Generator Project. We are actually very close to going out to bid on that project. So we're looking forward to getting that started. And we've got the Southwest Lincoln Street Roadway and Drainage Project, which is drainage. And as it said, in the road is nearly unsafe because of the condition. That is in the design phase. And most of the projects that I'm going to talk about this morning are predominantly grant funded. So we're spending a lot of time chasing funds as well as trying to get these projects off the ground. On the water side, we've got the water plant improvement project. We're improving the present water plant that we have, and we're also embarking on building a new RO plant on the same property as the existing plant. As you can see with the planning presentation later, we've got a lot of growth that's going to be coming to the Village of Indiantown, so we're trying to plan for the future with this new water plant. As I stated earlier, we're looking for funding. We did receive a planning grant for that, so we're on our way. We've also got the Railroad Avenue water main. That's a 100-year-old water main that's cast iron that runs parallel to the CSX tracks that we're trying to replace. Same story, we're looking for funding. We're hoping that we get some funding on that project because that is the backbone of the system that we presently have, and we need to improve it. We have the 12-inch water main looping project, which we actually are ready to go out to bid on that project. So hopefully we'll start construction on that sometime early summer, maybe late spring. And we also have the 151st and Osceola Street water main project. That one was funded with federal money, and we're just waiting to get that worked out with the federal government. We'll be starting that project as well. The Railroad Avenue, the 12-inch water main, and the Osceola have all been designed. We're just, like I said earlier, the key thing in the Village of Indiantown is the funding. We've got some special projects as well. The first one is Cedron Technologies. Cedron is a biosolids processor that approached the village several months ago. They'd like to site their facility in the Village of Indiantown. I wasn't here several years ago, but I guess I had been to the county previously and talking about their technology. Well, 6 or 7 years later, they've improved the technology. They've got it operating out in the western part of the country, treating human biosolids, but they're also doing it in dairy operations. So they've got about 7 or 8 years of experience behind them, and it's going to be very, very interesting technology, and it's going to help the environment tremendously here in the state of Florida, not just, in Martin County. We also have the Beaver EcoWorks project. That's a pilot program that we started to try to pre-treat the water to improve the quality of the water at the water plant in the village. We started that project back around October, November. We've had success in what we're doing. We've improved the quality of water in the village and made it more consistent, so we're hoping to move forward with that project on a bigger scale. And then we also are just about to install new automatic meter reading infrastructure. As I've stated before, grant funding, we were able to reallocate some grant funding towards the meter project. We're going to be replacing every meter in the system, and it's going to be fully automated once we get it done, so it'll be more user-friendly. Our end users will be able to actually check their usage on their computer. So it's definitely going to improve our accuracy in our meter reading. It's going to improve our revenues, and it's also going to give me back some resources on the ground. And that's it. Do we have any questions?
Do we have any questions for? Don't see any. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Move on to City Village County Development Update with Samantha Lovelady, Dina Freeman.
Good morning, I'm Samantha Lovelady with Growth Management, and I have Jody and Dina with me.
Dina Freeman.
Dina Freeman. And so, first off, on the population projections, I apologize, this has not been updated from the last report because Bieber has not issued their new projections. That usually comes out in February, so this will be updated, hopefully by the next presentation. For approvals, the county has approved 512 new residential units and 711,343 square feet of non-residential. And here are projects that we have in review for residential. And these are projects that are in review for non-residential. And with that, I want to hand it over to Jody.
Samantha, could you go back to the residential projects for the county?
Approved or under review?
Under review, I thought there was it 4,000 you said? Well, okay, that's it. Go back up a little bit. 4,000, what is it called? Shore?
Called Story.
Oh, the store. Yes, and I see that all over in the media and everything. Can you at least tell us a little bit about that?
I will have.
Location and.
I'll let Paul discuss this.
Lucky you. You're supposed to still objectively review, but.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. So the Story Commissioner is the project that we've received applications on for a text amendment, a future land use map amendment, as well as a PUD. It contains, the proposal is 4,000 units on approximately 2,600 acres, plus or minus, mixed-use development. So the mix of residential types as well as up to 900 and something thousand square feet of mixed-use retail, commercial office, and so forth. We are in the initial stages of reviewing that application. So to give you an idea, we will be issuing, as it stands right now, the initial reports for both the text and future land use map toward the end of February, and then the PUD first round of review, which is the initial review of the zoning agreement, will be follow that shortly thereafter, so early March.
Just for the public, just give the location and
Yes,
major roadways that are affected.
Yes, so the project is located in the vicinity of Bridge Road, west of I-95, bounded by 96th Street, Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, and Cantor Highway to some extent, but it is kind of at a crossroads of Bridge Road to the westerly area. It is adjacent to or near the South Fork High School, as well as the couple of Trailside as well, so a couple other communities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it, Ron. Thank you.
Good morning again. My name is Jody Kugler. I'm the Development Director with the City of Stuart. In your packet, you have the wrong information update, so I just wanted to provide you a more current status. Right now, we have no residentials right now approved in the last quarter. For non-residential, in the review process, we have a hotel, Stuart Hotel, which is going to consist of 123 rooms, and this is off of Cantor Highway, across from the Riverland Mobile Home Park. We also have the Fairfield Inn Suites, which is located on Federal Highway. It's the old crematory, old crematory SCI project, and that's going to be 94 rooms. And then we have a storage facility located in Avalia that's under review.
Thank you.
The end.
Hello, I'm Dina Freeman. I work with the Village of Indiantown as the Community Development Director. We have provided for the agenda some information, which includes obviously a summary of development activity. The first one is a picture of a recently completed 24 townhome project known as Seminole Junction off of Railroad Avenue. So we just got that as an update on something that's just been completed in Indiantown. We have a familiar list of pre-applications, which is a preliminary investigation applications from applicants with development proposals that they're looking to see if they can be accommodated and get zoning and code advice ahead of submitting a formal application. So the left column provides some of the information. We've been quite busy in the development review colleagues, which is like the development review meetings that you have in Martin County. Under review, there's a list of projects that we've got. Some of them are in their second round of reviews. One of those includes the Cedron facility, which is known as the Indiantown MVR WWT, 63,800 square feet processing facility that's going to be accommodated on an existing utility operations plant on some vacant part of that in Indiantown. The Indiantown Wastewater Treatment Facility Comp Plan Amendment is a future land use amendment, part of where the Cedron facility is going to go. Some of it's industrial and some of it's utility, majority utility. We're just doing a cleanup on the land use and the zoning so that it's all consistent and we're applying the correct and most consistent and appropriate codes for that project. And we've also got Storaway, which is just an addition, and Indiantown Go-Kart, which is still in that's in the second round of reviews. And some of the projects that have been approved, these are on the list before. Some of them are starting to happen in Indiantown in terms of site clearing and preparation for infrastructure. We have the Terralago, which was the Indiantown DRI, which is quite exciting with various phases. We've got a 24 apartment Parkview Villas that's been approved. and the Village Market, which is a gas station and delicatessen store. We've also got some industrial, commercial uses that have started to break ground, including we've got East Coast Metals and Kendall Industrial, which are in the Venture Park PUD, and RCC Construction, which is also in the Venture Park PUD. So they're all at the part where they've got their approvals and their building permits have been reviewed and approved, and they're ready for construction. And this is just a summary. This wasn't provided last time, but it gives you an indication that we are busy in Indiantown, and we've got quite a lot of residential units, which is shown in the bottom 3 columns in terms of approved or in review, and then the total number, with it being just under 3,000 units. And we've got more to come because the pre-applications that we're working with them. We go from pre-app, they prepare for their applications, and we're having a lot of calls and a lot of dialogue with people ahead of bringing in their applications for review. Then the non-residential development, the total numbers, there's the list of the projects that were shown in the other pages. And again, the numbers, they're quite big in terms of the non-residential that's coming into Indiantown, with a lot more inquiries on that are even before the pre-app stage right now. We're very busy in Indiantown. We've also got, and Martin County will be notified through the appropriate state statutes on, there's an annexation that's in for, on the Walsh, Joseph Walsh, which is adjacent to an existing Indiantown marina on the western edge of Indiantown, in between Southwest Citrus and Canna Highway and the St. Lucie Canal. There's an existing marina, and applicant agent has submitted an annexation. It's a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use, and also a zoning change to be consistent with the land use if and when it gets approved to come within Indiantown. So that's the second column. The first column is what we talked about with the Cedron and the Village of Indiantown. There's a change from light industry to utility. And also River Oak was actually approved for a land use change that actually downgraded their land use and zoning to a lower threshold of development in order to create larger lots on an approved site plan. And they're actually just in now for review for their revised final, because that was approved at Village Council before Christmas. And that's the end of staff's presentation for the village. We're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Freeman? None? Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to school district updates. Mr. Main. Well, they should put it.
Good job.
Yes, he's doing a great job.
Good morning. Tracy Miller, Deputy Superintendent, the Martin County School District. On behalf of our Superintendent of Schools, Michael Main, pleasure to be here. Mr. Main is in our schools this morning attending some very exciting events, and so he sends his best wishes in regards to everyone here this morning. I'm joined first by Mark Sechrist. He's our Director of Facilities, and then you'll be able to hear in just a few minutes from our SPAM team supporters and those who are part of that program to give you a little update on where we are with that program in the district. So just a reminder, nothing has changed on this slide. These are the locations where we have school district facilities across Martin County. We operate 29 different facilities serving a variety of functions and students. We'd like to update you on our current enrollment numbers. These are the numbers of students in attendance in each of our schools across the district as of January. You can see by grade level. We also have our VPK programs, and our total, this is for elementary. We have approximately 7,100 students in our elementary schools at this time. And our secondary, our middle and high schools, you can see the numbers of enrollment for middle schools, approximately 4,000 students, and in high school, about 5,500 students. And these are, again, the number of students physically attending the schools in our district. And we are proud of the alternative schools that we have, alternatives to the traditional schools, you can see that we have Willoughby Learning Center, Spectrum Academy, and Riverbend Academy. Approximately 300 students attend those school sites as well. And we do have 4 charter schools in the district, and you can see by grade level the attendance, the enrollment at those sites. All inclusive of pre-K through 12, including our charter schools, approximately 18,337 students. As we prepare for the next school year, we're looking at projected enrollments, so those were actual enrollments in our schools at this time. We're looking forward to the next school year, the 24-25 school year, and these are the projected enrollments, and we use these to look at the space available in sites, also the students who may be attending, who are moving up and matriculating from one level to the next, students moving into the area, those kinds of things. And we look at how many seats might be available, are projected to be available in each of our sites. And these are those projected numbers. The Florida Department of Education gives us our FISH capacity, our Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses capacity, which is approximately the number of students who should be able to be enrolled at each of those sites. We do know that there are some programs we have in different sites that are fewer students in a classroom. So for example, if a classroom might be built for 18 students, but we have a specialized program, maybe pre-K or an exceptional student education program, there might be just 6 students in that classroom, even though it was built for 18. So we have our FISH capacity. We also have some considerations that we look at in terms of programmatic needs. And we then look at enrollment to see where we have space available, where we can offer to anyone in the state of Florida through the controlled open enrollment process, where we can allow any parent who would like their child to attend a Martin County school to apply to attend, and we can increase our enrollment in that way. We also have the opportunity for parents in Martin County who would like their child to attend a school different from that school that they are scheduled to enroll in based upon where they live. We have an opportunity for choice. And then we have some really exciting specialized programs, including our career and technical education programs, as well as some advanced coursework in each of our high schools that are popular options for parents to apply for their students to attend choice programs. So all of that will be opening up very soon. And as of right now, for controlled open enrollment, the board has looked at numbers. They've looked at the space available in our schools, and at this point have approved for these schools, we have 7 elementary and 5 middle that have capacity, are projected to have capacity for next school year that will be available for controlled open enrollment. And we'll be continuing that conversation at our February 13th board workshop to consider additional schools that may be included in the controlled open enrollment option for families. And so you can see that data presented here. And just to summarize, we have 12 schools that are currently identified as controlled open enrollment schools, and information is going out to parents and families to let them know that they can apply beginning March 1st. That application is open until March 31st for controlled open enrollment. That is available, and there are some stipulations there included in statute. And then at the beginning of the year, just to clarify, so for many years in Indiantown, Warfield Elementary was a pre-K through grade 4 site. So just to let everyone know, when you see that the enrollment has increased in an unusual capacity this year, it's because we did move 5th grade back to Warfield Elementary this school year. So you see an increased enrollment at Warfield and a decreased enrollment then at Indiantown Middle, because they are back to a traditional 6-8 school at Indiantown Middle. So we're back to what we would consider a traditional model of K-5 and 6-8 at Warfield Elementary and Indiantown Middle. So we do sometimes get that question as to why those enrollments have fluctuated. And then just since October 2nd of this past year, when we looked at enrollment, getting ready for our survey for the Department of Education to report to them to the number of students in our schools. The elementary schools in grades K through 5 since that time have increased by 74 students. Middle schools in grades 6-8 have decreased their enrollment by 20, and high schools have decreased by 83. And of those students, 66 students transferred to an alternative school. I mentioned we have several alternative programs that are options for families, and 31 students actually graduated from our high school ahead of schedule. Thank you so much. Ahead of schedule, and so that accounts for some of the decrease in our high schools. Those are actually graduates. No worries, thank you. And then finally, the last data point is our charter schools overall in the district, K-12, have decreased their enrollment from the October date until now by 22. And before we move on to spam, I want to pause for some questions or comments.
Ms. Roberts.
Dr. Miller, can you talk about in controlled open enrollment, how long you could stay once you come in, if you come from somewhere else?
Absolutely. So controlled open enrollment has a caveat that other choice options don't have. And so if a student applies, if a parent applies for their child for controlled open enrollment, for example, for kindergarten, that child, without having to reapply year after year, will be able to attend that school once accepted in kindergarten all the way through the last grade at that school, which in this case for elementary would be 5th grade. So if they applied in 1st grade, they could stay until 5th grade. They could stay for the entire span of that particular school. Likewise, in middle school, if you apply as, for example, a 6th grader, that child would have a seat available through the 8th grade without having to apply year after year. So a controlled open enrollment is one of those methods that, quite honestly, saves parents some time, allows us some opportunity for some really good planning, and then allows continuity for families and students, which we also appreciate as educators. Continuity is always a great thing.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yes, Indiantown High School has 15 ninth graders, 25 10th graders, 12 11th graders, no seniors. So a total of 52 students. What's the capacity there?
Commissioner, I'll have to get back to you with that number. I don't have that. It obviously is built for many more than 52 students. I believe the highest number they had at one point was 54, was the number that came across my desk this year. They are a brand-new site. They are built to be able to support many more students. I don't have their actual capacity
Our
number.
understanding is it's close to 400. So their plan is to add 12th grade next year. They've been adding a grade.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amy.
Would you elaborate a little bit on controlled open enrollment in terms of Martin County students versus other counties who want to come for controlled open enrollment?
Sure, absolutely. So controlled open enrollment is allowed by Florida statute. It allows parents of any student in Florida. So there is a little caveat, parents of students from any school district in the state who are not subject to a current expulsion or suspension, they may apply to go to school here in Martin County. Parents would provide transportation if accepted as a controlled open enrollment student, and then again be allowed to remain in our schools through the duration of that grade span for whatever grade level, elementary, middle, or high, that they applied for. So it's not limited just to Martin County families, although we do ensure, obviously, that our Martin County families and students have a space in our Martin County schools. So this is one way to allow others to attend our schools, but there is a series of criteria that we look at in order to make sure that there is always a space. So if a family lives, a child is zoned for example, Anderson Middle School, there will always be a seat at Anderson Middle School for our Martin County families. One of the benefits of enrollment and increased enrollment is something called FTE. It's what the Department of Education refers to as a full-time equivalent, and that is actually how we earn funding as a school district. So each student, there is an FTE, an amount assigned to each student who attends our schools. And obviously, the more services and supports a child needs, the more money that comes to help us educate that child. So as we look at capacity, we want to fill our seats in our schools so that we can generate the funding to continue to provide the excellent quality supports, the wide range of services and programming that we have in our schools. And we all know that that takes money. So we are happy to have families who want to be here. We welcome our families in, and we want to make sure that our students here in Martin County are in the program and in the school that best meets the needs of their their children. Our high schools have some amazing programs. They are really, I really am blown away every time I hear from our teachers as to what they're doing in these programs, whether it's the International Baccalaureate program at South Fork High School, an international world-renowned program where students can graduate from South Fork High School with not only a standard Florida high school diploma, but an International Baccalaureate diploma, and they do that in the standard 4-year time. We also at Martin County High School have the Cambridge program out of Cambridge University. It's also a world-renowned program where students can graduate within that 4-year time frame, not only with a standard Florida high school diploma, but also a Cambridge University diploma for that program. And then at Jensen Beach High School, students can graduate with their Florida diploma and also the advanced placement certificate diploma. And what's important about that is, as our students, you probably all heard how competitive it is to get into colleges and universities. They are receiving record numbers of applications. It's extreme. I have a daughter who's a senior this year, so I can tell you firsthand, it is very competitive to get into Florida's state colleges and universities. And having these advanced additional diplomas from our traditional Martin County schools is definitely helping our students to be able to compete as we see record numbers of students applying for a limited number of spaces in the college and university system. So we're very proud of that, and not to mention the career and technical programs that we offer. From everything is based on market need, labor needs here in Martin County. So whether we're looking at welding programs, HVAC and air conditioning, hospitality and tourism, we have an amazing agriculture program at South Fork High School. So our students can attend those programs and receive certificates that are the same as adults would receive for having specialized training and skills within these programs. So all of that obviously requires funding, and we receive that from the state of Florida through the FTE, which is generated by our student enrollment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Miller, could you please go back to your map that showed the 29 facilities and the county? That one. So your schools are right along our urban areas and, of course, our highway and out in Indiantown. I just wanted to ask about new field development and Mattamy homes. Are those, if we have small children, if they, most of those may have residents who are older, but are they scheduled to be included in Citrus Grove and Indiantown High School for that whole western part of the county where we have, we don't see a lot of school facilities? Are those students going to be going to Citrus Grove and Indiantown High School?
So we do have a home planned for all of our students in the district. As new developments come in, this is why this meeting is really important for all of us to hear what's happening in all of the various areas, because we take all of that information, we look at our enrollment, we look at projections, we look at the number of students who are actually generated from these new communities. You mentioned Citrus Grove. There's a very nice residential neighborhood right across the street from Citrus Grove. So we're looking at the number of students projected to be generated from that community, and then the actual number, compare it to the actual number of students who are generated. We all know that housing in particular it's quite expensive in Martin County. And so we are not seeing the vast numbers of students that we once saw from a residential neighborhood of maybe 100 homes. The number of students we used to see generated from 100 homes is much decreased now. So we are not seeing the numbers of students, but we are constantly monitoring the principals. We talk constantly as they're getting new students enrolled. They let me know. We check the numbers. We look at things like the controlled open enrollment, actual numbers of students who are in enrollment, and then projected numbers. Constantly in touch with the school board, who looks at all of this information and determines how many students we can allow from other parts of the state if they so choose to come to Martin County. So it is a delicate balancing act. I think that's what you're alluding to, is that we have to make sure that we are, while we need to fill our schools and make sure that we're receiving the FTE and the funds we need to continue our programming, we also need to be sure that we're planning ahead and making sure that all Martin County families, including those who are new here, have a space in our public schools.
And the school on Citrus Boulevard, it's not on that map, is it? Is that what, the high school?
Left.
This one here?
Is that what that is up there? Okay.
This is Citrus Grove Elementary School.
No, I'm
number
talking
one.
about the Indiantown High School.
Indiantown High School would
in
be,
that spot right
is
there.
this about right?
Okay. Okay, and then the other thing, can you just tell us how many schools in Martin County are above, actually, who are E's or F's or below grade C in Martin County?
So the
Based on the
department,
Florida's,
excuse me.
whatever that, do we still have that lettering system where we have?
We do with a little caveat this year. So the state of Florida, the Department of Education, is one of the few states in the United States that has a grading system for schools and for districts. And so we're in what they refer to as a standard setting year. So we have transitioned from one set of assessments to another. So some of you, when your children might have been in school, you might have experienced the FCAT. We transitioned to the FSA, and we have something called the FAST, the Florida Assessment of Student Thinking. So we have, as you transition from one assessment to the other, they have to do a crosswalk. What would a score on one test equate to a score on another test? And to do that, they need data. So we're in that data standard setting year. So while school grades weren't officially received and district grades weren't officially received this school year, they were given as a preliminary, a baseline, if we were to have actually received grades this year, what they would be. And so those were the numbers, the letter grades that were given, was it right before Christmas, right after Christmas, very recently. And so we had several schools increase their letter grade. We have 4 what we call schools of excellence in the state. They're identified as schools that are very high achieving. We have 4 of those. It's very difficult to achieve that recognition. So we're proud of 4 schools. We're proud of the schools who have increased their letter grades. So at this point, we don't have schools that are below sea level. And that's something that we want to make sure that we continue to increase our those letter grades, and also the percentage of points earned, which is what the letter grade is determined by. And for the district, this year we earned the highest percentage of points possible. The number that we earned is the greatest number that we've earned in the last several years. So we have increased as a district as well our total number of points that we earned based on the number of points possible. And then that system will change for the next school year. When the next time school grades are released, we will have what they refer to as official school grades based on a new grading system.
And just last question, is there a reading level assignment to that? So that do we have reading, something that assesses which children are at certain levels in reading is?
Yes, absolutely. One of the assessments, one of the components that goes into that percentage of points earned or eventually a school grade several of those focus on reading. So we look particularly at 3rd grade reading, and then we look at reading through every tested grade level through high school, as well as their what we call learning gains. So we know not every student is reading on grade level, but the goal is to close that gap and achieve on grade level status. But to do so, that means you have to improve over time. So the state looks at reading improvement over time for students, as well as reading proficiency. So there are many components in the grading system based upon reading, and that's something that is definitely a target and a focus that we've had in Martin County for a long time, and appreciate the support and partnership with many of our local providers, such as Boys and Girls Club and YMCA, the library system, people who come together to help support our programming to ensure that we reach that goal of having our students read on grade level.
And the Children's Services Council does the Martin Read?
Absolutely, absolutely. Many partners all focusing on reading.
Thank you so much for your response.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add something for Commissioner Clark. So the school board determines what their number is, the percentage that they'll allow for controlled open enrollment. So the board has determined in the past that that number would be 25% as a set aside. So if your capacity is 1,000 students in a school, you would have 250 in that school that would be set aside immediately to plan for future growth. So when you have a school that has less than that number, if you had a school that had 70%, for example, that it goes and becomes one of the controlled open enrollment schools. But we also have the ability as a board, like we did last year, to designate certain schools that are above that 75% and to say, well, we can take more students at those schools. So we can say, for instance, last year, which was very unusual, we said for Jensen Beach High School, we would accept 100 or 200 students, and we pushed that number up to try to get more into that school because we had room for them in that school, even though the capacity, there's a permanent capacity and other capacity, but just to get the number up there. But we have the ability, and that's something that the school board will be looking at this month at our workshop and then at our meeting, as to other schools, whether we want to take schools that are between the 75 and 100%. So say a school that's at 80% capacity or 85% capacity, and whether we wanted to open that up to controlled open enrollment. And then a parent from another county would be able to bring their child to Martin County to go to school and stay through that period of time. So that's why these meetings are really important to us, to be able to see where the growth is happening, what it looks like as far as pricing for those homes, where it looks like people are coming in, and what that looks like for our school model.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we can move on to spam.
Perfect, thank you. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce two people. I talked about community partnerships and those who help support programming and things that continue to make our school district special, unique, and really, really great. These are two people who've been involved in SPAM for quite a while, and as they have just moved into the school board offices, just adjacent to where the school board meets, there is the new SPAM location. So the board wanted to have an opportunity for you to be able to hear directly from Stacy Jones and also Christian Pollock. And a little fun fact, Christian's been involved in SPAM in multiple capacities, and I hope he shares that with you.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Jones. I have been with SPAM for 27 years as a volunteer. I've been blessed to be part of it for a very long time, and this is very exciting for us. So thank you for inviting us to this. You want to introduce yourself?
And my name is Christian Pollock. I'm a Martin County resident, and I came through the school system here. And I'm very pleased to be back and volunteering my efforts with SPAM. Just moved back to Martin County a couple of years ago, and I'm very glad to be back home.
Unfortunately, Dr. Shoemaker, who was supposed to be with us today, fell ill, so we're going to speak for him. SPAM we have been around for 27 years, but now we are a newly formed Florida nonprofit 501c3. We are composed entirely of volunteers. Our mission is to promote the growth of STEM workforce and prepare students for the future through student participation in a competitive robotics program. Our team is made up of around 40 students, give or take, and they are made up of Martin County Public School, private schools, and homeschoolers. We have around 23 adult volunteers who give their time, and those are active volunteers. I just looked at the roll yesterday, and we have 30 that are on the roll. So it's pretty exciting, almost a 1-to-1 ratio there. Since 1997, the high school, and since 1997, FRC 180 was representing Martin County in international FIRST robotics competition. FIRST is the world's largest STEM program forming a global robotics community preparing young people for the future. Each year, it takes approximately 6 weeks for SPAM's team of mentors and high school students to design, build, wire, and program these 150-pound robots. We go up against about 3,000 teens from all over the world. And we have a game that just got revealed, and some of you were there, and we're so thankful that you were there. January 6th, we have the new Crescendo. That's the new game. And everybody all across the world got the same game as we did. And they are busy, very busy building right now. We have the regional events coming up. We're going to give you some of those dates. And the championship, when we qualify, is going to be in Houston, Texas in April. So how does SPAM promote and give back? We promote STEM education by hosting FIRST competitions for younger age groups, including preschool, elementary, and high school. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I need a keeper. As well as hosting summer camps and robot demonstrations. Our high school students volunteer approximately 250 hours a year. That's per student. Per student. SPAM has been awarding $15,000 for our seniors that have qualified in scholarships. So we have raised money to give money to our kids. Okay, now I got to do that, do this. Got it. We want to thank our amazing Martin County School Board members. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And our wonderful Martin County commissioners, thank you very much for bottom of our hearts. And our sponsors, we have about 75 sponsors that we go out and raise money for to keep this going. And the public, thank you for coming to SPAM's open house on January 6, 2024. We had over 300 people in our space, and we can still fit more. The new pit space is in the Martin County School Board office. We are where it used to be the printing presses, and now we have filled it up with some of the news happening that happened printed on the printing presses, and years ago, we are now in those places that printed about us. So it's pretty exciting. We have newspapers hanging up in our pit area, and it's a good feeling just all around to have this beautiful space. We're in the process of building our robot for this upcoming season, Crescendo. Our students are building a new playing field, which is done. We are designing using CAD of the new chassis, which is done. We have a new intake system, almost done, and programming the motors using Java. These are all run by kids and mentors, and it is an amazing thing to see. We have a running robot. We are welcome to come to our new pit area behind the school board office. We are there most evenings from 6 to 9, sometimes a little later, sometimes a little earlier. We are there all day Saturday. We have a regional competition happening at Broward Convention Center on February 29th, FAMU Tallahassee on March 14th, and UCF Orlando in March 21st. When we win those competitions, we will be going on to Houston to represent Martin County at the Worlds. And if you don't know, in 2012, we won the world competition. We beat out teams from NASA, General Motors, and Canada to win that honored award. And we are aiming to do it again because it's time. It's been 12 years, so we need to do it again. Oops, wrong one. We have a proposal we're going to introduce to the school district later on this year, but we would like to move on and grow our STEM center to the next level and offer this to the 1,800 students that are in Martin County. And we will be presenting that to the school board, and we are so thankful to have this opportunity because you never know. You stop dreaming, you stop believing, you stop doing. And we will never stop dreaming. So there you go. We do have some other information that we want to do with the proposal, and we are so thankful for you guys to let us be here. And on behalf of Dr. Shoemaker, who could not be here, myself, Stacy Jones, and Christian Pollock, we thank you very much for all that you do for our Martin County kids. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I already know this, but I think the public would like to know how many of your mentors came through the program and some who actually relocated to be with the Martin County SPAM program.
Well, it grows throughout the years, but right now we have 11. We have 11 people that have come back. We have a couple of people that have actually moved from Orlando to come here to Martin County to actually help us with the team. And they are, it's an amazing young man and his wife, and we are so thankful they have moved back. They have moved here to Martin County. They are our programming mentor on the team, so he can work anywhere, and he chose to come back here. I think Christian can also speak to himself. Sure. Speak.
So I won't lie, I came here to be close to the water, but but this team prepares you for a lot more than that. The tools that we're using to build and design these robots are the same tools that they're using in industry. So when I went after the University of Florida, I was prepared because of what happened here. If I can speak to college, this isn't just a small local robotics team. There's 4,000 teams globally that do the same thing that we do. It's on the college's radar. They really know about these programs. So we're giving our students a leg up here by providing these opportunities. And then coming back to Martin County, this is an expensive place to live. So if we can curate a pool of engineers or of people with some really, really good skills and talents, I think it would help with some of the housing costs that we're facing. I have friends that can't afford to live here. And so if I can look out to the next couple of generations and provide them an opportunity to move back to their hometown and to be comfortable in doing that. It's something that I would really support.
And on that note also, Christian's sister, Lily, who was she was our team captain back in 2016.
Right there,
Yeah. She came back. She was living in Texas and called me and said she wanted to come home. So we ended up connecting her with our sponsor at Florida Power and Light, and now she's working at Florida Power and Light. She's also back on the team mentoring, and it's a great feeling to see these young people come back. And I'm so glad if I could retire in the next few years. 27 years, I'm going to hit 30. I know I'm going to get 30 because I have to get the gold watch. But when I hit 30, I know that we're safe because our alumni are here and our teams are protected. And we now have a home and we now have sustainability. That's my whole thing, is for these kids to have sustainability and to have this team growing and growing and growing. And so when we do get the World Championship again, they have a place to come back to and the big giant banner to put on the wall. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
So you know about Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. You know why she came back to Florida? Because it's better.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, and she's a wonderful young lady, and we're very thankful to have the Pollocks and all these other wonderful alumni coming back.
She's very happy to be here, and I'm proud to say she's a resident of Stewart. So, but this is part of the pathway, the ladder to come back. So thank you.
Good. Amy?
I'd like you to expand on cooperation, please.
Yes.
Because it's awesome.
So everybody knows how to compete, right? You all know. You know what it feels like to compete. Cooperation is what FIRST stands for. FIRST stands for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. And the wonderful thing about FIRST is the keystone, the cornerstone of it is cooperation. You play like crazy. Gracious professionalism, though, is the key. So you play like crazy, you compete, but you know that you're competing with these three teams, against those three teams. Next time you compete, you might have that team you're competing with you as your alliance. So you really have to play a game of working to your very, very best, cooperating with everyone, and if you break it, you help rebuild it. So that is the key to what FIRST is all about. We compete, and we are very good competitors. But as soon as the game is over, we go back to being friends. Where else can you find South Fork High School, Martin County High School, Jensen Beach High School on the same team, same drive field, playing together? Where else? Nowhere else. We have a very unique thing happening in our pit. That does not happen anywhere else. And we are so thankful. Cooperation is what you do here. See how you cooperate and how you are cooperating and you treat each other with respect and gracious professionalism? We're teaching that to 14-year-olds. So it is a wonderful, wonderful thing. That's why I've been doing it for 27 years and why I'll keep doing it until I get that gold watch.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any comments before we adjourn?
Yeah, I have one. Sorry. So at Pinewood Elementary, this is going back to Cove Road. At Pinewood Elementary, there's that crossover that gets the kids across. Does anybody know who built that, whose money that came from?
Oh, boy.
All of our.
It came from you guys?
We're all residents.
So have you guys looked at maybe doing that on Cove Road? Just wondering.
It was
Private school.
I think the school district did that.
or private when across the street. I'm not sure that Lee County funded that or built that.
Oh, okay.
Those kids don't walk across.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
All right, seeing no additional comments, we are officially adjourned.